Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. In this video I will expose one person who not only is I would say perpetrator of a crime, and that is she supported an illegal action in another country, which is overthrowing of an legitimate democratically elected government. I'm talking about Ukraine 2014. And her name is Victoria Nuland. She worked for the Secretary of State, U.S. Secretary of State then, and she works for the Secretary of State under Biden. Again, she worked under Obama. Now she works under this shuffling, semi-conscious, humanoid Biden. So she's back on the saddle again, and she's riding high again. Now, I will make some statements, I will provide you with some evidence, and you tell me if this is a coincidence. And if it's not coincidence, I would like you to tell me what is it. So, if you remember 2014, there's a recording, audio recording of a phone conversation between Victoria Nuland and the then US ambassador in Ukraine, and they decide kind of who will replace Yanukovych after he's overthrown. So they were deciding who will be the person that they should put in place, because they had nothing to do with the overthrow of Yanukovych democratic elected regime or government. So this Victoria Nuland visits Ukraine now, and she's gonna meet over there with the Ukrainians, if you know what I mean. And this is what she said. First, so she was part of a little crime, I would say, perpetrator, right? She was part of, at least she was not neutral in any way, or how should I put it, did not have anything to do with that overthrow of the government in 2014. So this article comes from Ukrinform. It is from December 3rd, 2022. And this is what she says, Russian army comprehensively demonstrates its weakness. That's this respected Undersecretary of State, Victoria Nuland says. So, the Russian army is comprehensively demonstrating its own weaknesses, and this will affect the countries around the world, which used to build up their armies with the help of Russian defense systems. So now she plays as a salesperson for the military-industrial complex, United States, saying our weapons are better, so buy from this. This was the first paragraph. The relevant statement, and I will say how relevant that statement is in a minute. The relevant statement was made by U.S. Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs Victoria Nuland during a conversation with journalists at Media Center Ukraine Forum. So this is the kosher woman, okay? Here she is. All right, so you get a visual. In the dark, you don't need it, but anyway, I understand. Now, according to Nuland, what is happening in Bakhmut looks like the trench warfare of World War I. Well, it seems like Bakhmut is already conquered by the Russians. The mighty, quote-unquote, Russian army, as it was believed to be, takes the newly mobilized soldiers and forces them to come out of trenches and face death every day. This is brutally and only, Nuland stresses. Okay. Now, let me give you a few... so she keeps on going that she's a U.S. Under Secretary of State for Political Affairs, remember? Okay, now it could be the point made that she was involved, and her conversation with ambassador proves involvement in that treasonous action conducted by some traitors in Ukraine, because if you overthrow a legitimate government, democratically elected, you can't, with the help of outside services, you can't be called anything else, because that's meets kind of the definition of a traitor, correct? Anyway, so let's see. Now you tell me about this. You tell me why this coincidence, all right? I will name countries, I will name persons, and I will name some group membership. And you tell me why, how is this so coincidental. All right. So Victoria Nuland, so we have represents United States of America, Under Secretary of State. The Secretary of State, the U.S. Secretary of State, is Antony Blinken, right? So we got United States, and we got two main guys over there, Blinken and Nuland. They're both Jewish. By coincidence? I don't know. You're gonna tell me, all right? She is involved in Ukraine. Let's move to Ukraine. In Ukraine, we have 4 Jews in charge of the Ukrainian nation, and I will mention them: Zelensky, the president; Zhmyhal, the prime minister; how is this? I always is Yermak. Let's go with Yermak first, which is Yermak is like the president chief of staff, and then is Reznikov. I always fuck up this guy's name. Reznikov, who's the Minister of Defense. All those 4 are Jews. One elected, the other one appointed by him in Ukraine. Top leadership. Okay? Then you have the British ambassador to Ukraine is another Jew. So the person who represents Great Britain, the English, the Welsh, the Scots, the Irish, they have a Jewess representing them in Ukraine, where the leader is a Jew with other 3. The Secretary of State of the United States, Blinken, has a Jewish mom, which makes him a Jew. Victoria Nuland is Jewish. Now you tell me, what is, if any, the coincidence? Coincidence is quote unquote. You tell me. I mean, obviously they are not talk to one another. Hey, you know what? But you tell me how come. Remember, if you say that they are good at that, that's going to make you racist. And it's going to make you stereotyping other people. Because you can't attribute a trend or a trait to a group and then generalize it. Because then you can say, well, whites are creative. Other groups are, I don't know, lazy. Other groups are, I don't know, things like this. And you can't do that because we're not all the same in a group. So then what is the thing? Personal ability cannot be, because if you say personal ability cannot be a coincidence. They're all these guys. You can get, if you want, Madeleine Albright, representing the United States, was Secretary of State of the United States, like Blinken. She was a Jewess, this is a Jew. Now you can go back, and you can go, if you want, to the other guy, what's his name? The other Secretary of State, and then he was an advisor for sometimes it just goes like blank with this. What's his name? He was born in Germany, he was Jewish, and he was under the guy with this double sign that was impeached, and in order to get out, Nixon. What's the guy's name? Jesus, I have to remember. Finally, Henry Kissinger. Jesus Christ. So Albright, Kissinger, and you got Blinken. Now you get Nuland. You get the British ambassador, another one. You get the 4 guys in charge of Ukraine. What is this? What is this? Now, if you say, well, it's just a coincidence. Okay, why are not all these guys Romanians? Or, I don't know, Mexicans? Are Romanian worse than the Jews? Are not as smart as them? Well, you can't say that. So then what is it? We don't have that kind of trait? Again, you can't say that. You know what I mean? Why are not that all black? Are not black people as good as these guys? You can't say that. They don't like this. I mean, they have Condoleezza Rice, you can say, right? Okay. What about ambassadors? I mean, I'm just pointing out some facts, and the answers will not be, easily available. The point is, this Nuland makes a statement that Russian army shows its limit, and it's limited. It's true that it's limited, but do not forget, Russia does not fight Ukraine here, Miss Baby Doll. Okay, Nuland, The problem is that you're missing, because you are sneaky, is Russia fights 40 countries, fights the entire NATO and the entire European Union, plus other countries that provide other assistance to Ukraine. So it's not Russia versus Ukraine. If that would be the case, I would give you that. But you know, but you don't tell us because you think we don't know. That is not that. That is not Ukraine versus Russia. It's Russia versus the rest, which are about 40 countries. So I think it's doing pretty good, don't you think? So I think the point is, on the contrary, with all the help, ammunition, weapons, training, intelligence, satellites, instructors, political help, financial help, sanctions, with all that, Russia is still there, holds the line. So I think it's doing pretty good, don't you think? I mean, just think, one person against 40 in so many areas, not only military, economic, banking, right? Grains, resources, SWIFT, money, financial, trainers, and all that. I think it's doing pretty good. I mean, Russia is our enemy, obviously, but so I think that she, besides being short-sighted or sneaky, she's just she shows up to the crime scene. That's usually what criminals do. If you're familiar with rapists, and not only rapists, people who commit crime, they usually, if you don't catch them, in the process of catching them, a big percentage of them will revisit the place of the crime. Should that be a reason why Nuland had to come to Ukraine again? I don't know. I'm just asking questions. Is it illegal? Could I be arrested? Yeah, I think so. Pretty soon we get that point. We're at the tipping point right now. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.